Hi, I'm Drew Rollins, and I'm the chaplain at St. Albans Chapel on the LSU campus, and I've been asked to speak for just a couple of minutes about the results in a congregation that has embraced recovery ministry. And I'll start with a series of 8 very quick questions. What begins with an act of surrender and an admission of weakness? What has a thoroughly unromantic view of human nature? What promises rescue for troubled people? What stands in direct contradiction to the surrounding culture of achievement? What teaches that sheer force of will is insufficient in overcoming our most recidivistic behaviors? What believes that confession is necessary for spiritual health and growth? What meets people at their point of greatest weakness and need? And finally, what promises new life to the dead? The answer, of course, is Christianity. 10 years ago or so, when I was first starting at St. Albans, I think I would have answered very quickly, well, that's Alcoholics Anonymous, that's what they do. And yes, Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 Steps do all those things, but what I've been given to learn from my experience with people in recovery at St. Albans is a deeper appreciation that those core beliefs of the 12 Steps are the central truths of the Christian faith. AA just does an incredible job of articulating those truths in a way that the addict can hear. We now have 5 weekly AA meetings at St. Albans, and they're all very well attended. We've made a conscious effort to give those groups priority in terms of the allocation of our space, and to view recovery ministry as a vital part of our mission and not simply an outside group that we very politely host. And now that we've done this long enough, we are known on the LSU campus as a church that has made a commitment to recovery ministry. And it took me some years as a chaplain to understand that a great deal of the emotional health that I inherited and that I enjoy at St. Albans in the congregation can be traced back to the quiet but very steady leadership and example of many of the folks in our congregation who are in recovery. The presence of a number of AA mentors in positions of leadership at St. Albans means several things. First of all, it means in our leadership they bring perspective. The discussions about the roof, the budget, the squirrels in the attic, things like that are kept in perspective because folks in recovery know when something is a life and death situation and when it is not. We benefit from their insight. Their presence in leadership has helped us to all view human nature through the lens of addiction, and that results in a deeper understanding of the kinds of irrational forces that drive all of us. And patience, having, quote, drunks in leadership, means that we have their good example of non-judgment. They are sweeping their side of the street first, and has many other benefits. My positive experience with folks in recovery has also had the impact of it that filters into my preaching and teaching. Almost every time I address the congregation, these 12-step aphorisms seem to come up. You didn't slide in on a rainbow. Every morning I wake up, look the enemy in the eye, then I shave him. Pain is the touchstone of all spiritual progress. When I repeat slogans, and all of these are perfectly consistent with Christianity, in the congregation, I always see heads nod, and people later tell me that they found a home here because they could see that the leadership got it. Also using that 12-step language in our commitment from up front signals to our students, this is very important, the students who are struggling, that they have come to the right place. I'll close with just a quick story that has been repeated a lot at St. Albans. We have a group of parishioners who host a movie night every Monday night up in our loft, and they have refreshments and they watch and they discuss a film. And one evening they were up there in this loft getting ready to show the movie, and they were passing around wine and beer and popcorn and refreshments, and a person, a stranger, showed up unannounced, but the group is open to anyone. And they were happily invited to take a seat, and everyone was getting the drinks ready and munching on the popcorn and talking about the film they were about to watch. And just before the film began, the visitor sort of tentatively said, "Is this an AA group?" They said, no, that's tomorrow night. But he was thinking, I have never been in an AA group like this before. And that little sort of exchange demonstrated that the visitor felt welcomed, and that the group felt to him a lot like an AA group. And that is the sort of the feel that we want all of our groups to have, all of our gatherings, including our main service, to have at St. Albans. We try to view everything that we do, every group that we host, and every time we gather as a recovery group, because we are all in recovery in one way or another. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Bill Terry. I'm an alcoholic. You all go to meetings? I was kind of looking around the room. You can get information overload. First of all, Lance said everything I was going to say, and what he missed, Drew took. So I don't have a lot more to offer other than perhaps a little of my own experience and testimony. I got some great stories, but that's for later when I was drinking. But Jay and I partnered up, I guess for about a year or so. We did this a while back, 2 years, 3 years. I'm in recovery, I have dead brain cells. Jay, who will do a talk about this tomorrow, helped transform my own spirituality and helped transform, in a very quiet way, St. Anna's Church. We had Bridge House come over. Jay would bring over a bunch of guys. The bribe was he would also bring a cooler full of steaks already cooked, and we'd do these 12-step Eucharists. Now, have you ever been with somebody in your personal spiritual journey where you could tell there was that connection? There was that delightful contact in your eyes when you knew this was a human being, I'm a human being, and there's something going on. I'm not talking about your lovers or wives or partners, but another person that you met. Have you all had that experience? Yeah? Episcopalians don't nod their heads, Bishop. There you go. Now we're getting it. Yeah, thank you. These men would come in through the Bridge House, and apart from the steaks, would sit down with me and several other people and start sharing their lives in the most incredibly intimate of ways and with such grateful hearts and minds. And when you receive that kind of feedback, you're doing recovery ministries. You see, recovery ministry is, it's about a structure and a plan, and a very Christian structure and plan. In fact, even if you don't need to go into recovery, pick up 12-step. I want you to review it and see how that works as a form of catechesis and as a way of spiritual self-discipline. You'll be amazed. You will be absolutely amazed. It is more than consistent. It's the best template for Christian living I've found so far. But recovery ministries is also very much a ministry of personal presence. Personal presence. It is a ministry of humanity. I see you, you see me. We're human beings. We need to do something together to get through this. There are identifiers. We live in a city in New Orleans where alcohol is abused on a regular basis. And alcohol abuse is encouraged in our city. That's how we make our money. Anybody have a hand grenade lately? You're laughing because you know it's a drink. It can be a weapon too. In society, we heard earlier that we're in a society that not only encourages, invites, but now embraces on a regular basis increasing spectrums of ways to dull ourselves to pain and injury, to replace genuineness with that little kick that you get every once in a while, and we sell it. So it's not a ministry that is often easy to do. It's an embarrassment too, isn't it? It is. It's an embarrassment. I had to work there. I remember the first time I stood up in the pulpit and said, you know, I'm a recovering alcoholic. My God, I had 4 vestry members go back in the back room and all have a quick meeting and wonder if they ought to keep me because they were pretty sure I was going to become stupid and drunk in the next 24 hours. And by the grace of God and wonderful support system, they were wrong. And I outlived them anyway, so there. They were old, I'm just saying. We're surrounded by alcoholics, and we need to make places comfortable for them. One thing that we do at St. Anna's, first of all, I'm really tired of Catholic Light and whiskey palliums. So please don't ever use those words around me. I find them offensive. I wrote an article in Ambush about that, and if you don't know what Ambush is, Google it. You'll be offended. No, you will be. But the point I'm trying to make here is we now have a rule. If you have a nice Merlot at your festivity, I want a nice de-alcoholized Merlot. I want not just some water in the corner. I want something that is equal with what you're offering in your alcohol world. Because I deserve to be a part of the agape meal that we share. And I want my friends who can't drink alcohol to feel comfortable and to feel a part of it. Some of us are sick and tired of sweet stuff. You can only drink so much Coke in your lifetime when you go into recovery. I'm just telling you. A little practical tip. There's some really good de-alcoholized stuff out there. It's not hard to get a case of non-alcoholic beer. It's not hard to make sure that you're... How about this? How about a Sunday brunch on your feast day without booze? Oops. So in my own random wanderings, I leave these various pearls of wisdom with you. 1, I outlived the old ladies that were sure I was going to be a drunk. 2, you're surrounded by alcoholics, and not just alcoholics, but people that struggle with addictions every day in this room today. 3, try and think about having social events where it doesn't require somebody getting stupid, in a drunk sort of way. Okay? And 4, make room for us. We have a place at the table. Be aware of us. Be conscious of us. Invite us in. Remind us. When we break bread together, we're sharing Christ together, and that those of us who need to be in recovery have a place at our Christian table. Random thoughts. Thank you.